pa gyu tra shi pa tu che tempe tin le yar ngo da pelge drolor zampe ze parche pande la me shabla solvade Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Utta Vardanya Shri Bad Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hong Hong Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hong Hong Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munishas Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hong Hong Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Karm Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hong Hong Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Karm Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munishasa Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hong Hong Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munishasan Utta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hong Dagi Jitsun Lama Tuje Che Nyamda Dala Tuje Siksu Su Gebe Shesan Dala Tendu Su Uyon Sungi Nawa Tsedu Su Tsechi Nyingne Solwa Debe Tse Dechen Korlo Visu Likshune Yila Sambe Dudun Malupa Geme Lungi Drubra Chingi Lo Tsoni Sodan Diktun Shape Tse Dungi Namke Yin Su Likshune Lapchen Tsoni Yonsu Tsopa Dang Chera Nyetun Chanwara Chingi Lo Chanchu Pargi Ninsen Tukuntu Niu Peme Siudru Likshune Chanchu Drube Gegen Kunshishi Dungen Dela Drubra Chingi Lo Dagi Lona Chula Chokpa Dang Chemin Samjur Ngemba Shiwa Dang Chedan Tumbe Dudun Malupa Beme Lungi Drubra Chingi Lo Dorna Tingne Tsera Tamche Dan Techi Pardo Nekav Tamche Rese Kyamne Lama Keleme Tukje Chingi Dala Siksu So Gongyab Drewe Nyamda Dachala Jetsun Lame Tuje Rab Gongne Kodan Sungi Nawa Dralme Tu Nyamsu Nyongwe Kesan Toprasho Kewa Kuntu Yanda Lama Dan Rame Chiki Pela Longche Chi Sadan Lamge Yenten Rabzone Dorje Changi Kopan Nyur Tobo Sho Pakyuke Kodan Dagelo Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Pakyuke Tukdan Dagi Tön yerme çıktı çingi lo makyuke ku makyuke sundan dagi ngam makyuke tukdan dagi tön yerme çıktı çingi lo Om Muni Shakyamunye Svoha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamunye Svoha. Tayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvoha. Tayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Svoha. Tayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvoha. Sangye Chedan Soge Chonam La Jancho Pardo Dani Kyapsochi Dage Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchre Sangye Drupar Sho Sangye Chedan Soge Chonam La Jancho Pardo Dani Kyapsochi Dage Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchre Sangye Drupar Sho Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Danik Dage Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchre Sangye Drupar Sho. Nel Buddha, nel Dharma,
Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I obtain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Ci mettiamo in una posizione confortevole.
We sit in a comfortable position, with our back straight but not tense.
Le spalle rilassate.
Our shoulders are relaxed.
La testa
Our
leggera.
head is slightly forward.
Con la bocca rilassata.
With our mouth relaxed, our tongue resting on the palate.
Gli occhi leggermente chiusi.
Our eyes are slightly closed, looking downwards.
La consapevolezza sul
Our awareness is on our breath.
Ci permettiamo di essere
We
presenti,
allow ourselves to be present in the present moment,
di portare la
to
mente
bring our mind where our body is.
semplicemente
Simply observe our own breath.
osserviamo la
We
sensazione,
observe the sensation
i
in the
movimenti,
body, the movements of our abdomen, of our chest as we breathe.
osserviamo la sensazione alle
We observe the
narici,
sensation at our nostrils of the air coming in and going out.
osserviamo la
We
temperatura
observe the temperature of the air that is more fresh as we breathe in and slightly warmer as we breathe out.
con gentilezza,
With gentleness,
portiamo il nostro
we bring our
respiro,
breath to an abdominal breath.
inspiriamo
We breathe in
profondamente
deeply
fino ad espandere leggermente
until
la pancia,
expanding our belly slightly.
poi espiriamo
And then we breathe out deeply until
leggermente la pancia.
contracting our belly slightly.
Inspira,
So I breathe in
espira.
and breathe out.
Proseguiamo con la respirazione
We
yogica,
continue with the
ossia
yogic breathing,
ad
that is, as we breathe in
un flusso
in a
continuo,
continuous flow.
dopo aver
After having filled the lower part of our belly, we continue breathing in
riempire la parte alta
until we
del
also
petto,
fill the upper part of our chest,
fino a una lieve
up to a
sensazione
slight, almost imperceptible lifting of the shoulders.
Inspiriamo tutta l'aria
So we breathe in
possibile,
all the
riempiendo
air
dal
that we
basso
can, filling from the bottom to top.
ad
And
espirare.
then as we breathe out,
Svuotiamo
we
tutta
empty
l'aria,
all the air,
svuotando prima la parte alta,
emptying first the upper part of our chest and then lastly the lower part of our abdomen
andandola fino a contrarre leggermente l'addome.
until it contracts also slightly.
Inspiro profondamente,
Breathing deeply,
tutta l'aria
all the
possibile,
air that I can,
riempiendo dal basso
feeling from bottom to top.
Espiro,
And
eliminando
breathe
tutta
out,
l'aria
eliminating all
possibile,
the air
svuotando
that
dall'alto
I can,
verso il
emptying
basso.
from the top to bottom.
Respiriamo con calma
We breathe in, we
e
breathe with
creiamo
calmness, and we create a space after the in-breath and after the out-breath,
come una pausa in
like
cui andiamo a
a pause where we hold
l'aria senza
the air
forzare.
slightly without forcing. So I
Inspiro,
breathe in,
trattengo,
hold, breathe out, and hold.
inspiriamo contando fino a
We
4,
breathe in, counting to 4,
tratteniamo
hold with 4,
espiriamo
breathe out
4
with 4,
e tratteniamo.
and hold with 2.
Quindi
So
inspiro
breathe in
4,
4,
trattengo
hold
4,
4, breathe
espiro
out 4,
4 e
and
trattengo.
hold 2.
Inspiro.
Breathe in.
Inspiro 4,
Breathe in 4.
trattengo 6,
Hold with 6.
espiro qua,
Breathe
espiro
out
6,
with 6. And hold 3.
inspiro
Breathe in
4,
4.
trattengo
Hold
6,
6.
espiro
Breathe out
6
6.
e
And
trattengo
hold
3.
3.
Inspiro.
Breathe in.
Inspiro 4,
Breathe in 4.
trattengo,
Hold 8. Breathe
espiro
out
8
8.
e trattengo.
Hold 4.
Se fossi
If
troppo
that was
lungo,
too long,
ognuno si
then
adatta
each
ai
one
tempi
adapts
confortevoli per se stesso.
to the time that is comfortable for himself. Don't force.
Idealmente,
Ideally,
inspiro 4,
I breathe in with 4, hold with 8, breathe out with 8, and hold again with 4.
inspiro.
Breathe in.
Visualizziamo il nostro
We
corpo
visualize our body
come un corpo di luce,
as a body of light
con un canale
with
centrale
a
e
central
due
channel and two side channels.
all'interno dei nostri canali,
Inside of our channels there are
dei nostri blocchi
the
energetici.
leftovers of our energetic blockages generated by anger, attachment, envy, fear,
E così
anxiety,
via.
and so on.
Con la respirazione in 9 cicli,
With the 9
inspirando
cycle breathing, breathing from one nostril and breathing out
e poi da
through
tutte e
the
due.
other, and then from both of them together, we eliminate an energetic block, any remaining trace
rimasta all'interno del nostro
that
corpo
was
sottile.
left inside of our subtle body.
Facciamo il pugno
We take
Vajra
the
e
Vajra fist and perform the 9 cycle breathing, each one at his own pace.
Inspiro,
Breathe in,
trattengo,
hold, breathe
espiro
out,
e trattengo.
and hold.
Ad inspirare
As we breathe in,
riceviamo raggi di luce
we
netta
receive rays of light and nectar, that bring us every blessing that enter through our nostrils and these two side
sotto
channels,
l'ombelico
and below the navel they enter in the central channel. As we hold the air, these rays of light absorb at our heart inside of the central channel.
ad espirare
As we breathe out,
dal nostro cuore si
from our
emanano
heart,
raggi di luce
rays of light emanate that go to every being surrounding us,
portandoli gradualmente
bringing them gradually to a state of peace and joy.
ad inspirare i
As we
raggi di
breathe in,
luce
the rays of
ritornano
light
ed entrano
come back and
nostri canali
enter
laterali al
through
nostro
our side channels and then in the central channel. As we hold the air, the rays of light are absorbed at our heart,
portandoci ogni
bringing us every blessing, bringing us to a state of peace.
ad
And
espirare
as we breathe out from our heart, rays of light emanate
vanno ad ogni
that go to every being,
aiutandoli a
helping
uscire
them
dalla
to get
propria
out of their suffering
a ottenere uno
and to obtain a state of peace.
inspiriamo
We breathe in,
ricevendo le benedizioni
receiving the blessings with the inner sound of Om. We hold,
le benedizioni
the blessings are absorbed at our heart with the inner sound of Ah, and then we breathe out,
emanando luce
emanating light and nectar for every being,
aiutandoli a
helping
uscire dalla
them
propria
to get out of their suffering and to reach a state of peace,
espiriamo con il suono
breathing out with the inner sound of Hum. So we breathe in with Om, hold with Ah, and breathe out with Hum.
inspiro ricevo luce
Breathe in and
nettere
receive
Om
light and nectar with Om,
trattengo si
hold,
assorbe nel cuore
it's
espiro
absorbed at the heart, and then breathe out.
inspiro
It helps the beings. So breathe in Om.
gli esseri intorno a noi raggiungono uno stato di pace.
Beings around us reach a state of peace.
I raggi di luce si
The
assorbono,
rays of light are absorbed
si assorbono al nostro cuore.
at our heart.
Noi stessi raggiungiamo uno
And we
stato
ourselves
di
reach
pace
a profound state of peace
con un infinito spazio
with an
interiore.
infinite inner space.
Riposiamo la nostra
We
mente.
rest our mind in this infinite inner space.
Inspira.
Breathe in,
Trattieni.
hold,
Espira.
breathe out,
E trattieni.
hold.
Inspira.
Breathe in.
Manteniamo il contatto
We
con
keep
questo
the contact with this infinite inner space,
la consapevolezza.
the awareness on our breath.
Inspiro,
Breathe in,
trattengo,
hold,
espiro,
breathe out,
trattengo.
hold.
Piano piano
Bit by bit,
portiamo la nostra attenzione
take our attention to our outer senses.
muoviamo la bocca, apriamo gli
We move our
occhi,
mouth, open our eyes, move our hands.
Namo Alhaye Kedan Ludan Chinke Rubundandami Kenamdan Ruwakunge Dranam Chitsampa Tamcheketo Dagi Chetento. Buongiorno.
Good morning.
Ok. Molto spesso
Very often
noi diamo tanta
we give
importanza
a lot of importance
alle cose che facciamo,
to the things that we do,
no? A quello che si fa,
to what is
quello che
done,
si produce.
to what is produced.
Ogni tanto ho sentito
Sometimes I've
persone
heard people saying
un po' dispiaciute,
they were a bit
così dice, "Ma io oggi
disappointed
non ho
and,
fatto niente,
today I didn't do anything.
oggi non ho
Today I
prodotto
didn't
nulla."
produce anything.
E per me c'è un
And
altro
for me,
aspetto
there
più
is
importante ancora.
another aspect that it's even
Una
more
questione è
important.
quello che noi
That
facciamo,
one thing is what we do,
un'altra
and
questione
another thing
è
is
in che modo
in
che
what
poi le
way
esperienze ci
that
trasformano.
experience transforms us.
Anche
Also because there is this way of saying that is very wise, where it said, nothing starts, nothing ends, everything is transformed. And in the experiences that we have during our life is more important the way in which we transform ourselves. So, very often it's much more important the way that experience transforms us rather than what we did. I don't know exactly the reason for this, but often we have a lot of attachment to what is being done, what is realized, when actually the thing started, ended, and we continue. Today, what we will now do to start this moment is that a Zen mandala has been made a few weeks ago, and this time we did something a little bit different, because the Zen mandala was made by the various a Zen mandala was done by the various monks, geshes, which have a lot of experience. And then, as they were doing it, I had this idea, okay, let's take some guys, some young people here at the center that have some artistic attitude, and let's also make them do one. And they did a wonderful job. Today there's a particular ceremony connected with environment and rain, and where usually is also offered the sand of the mandala. So now we will dissolve the mandala, and this represents, the mandala is made of sand grains, and represents the universe, reality. It has many meanings, but it represents one, that the reality that we see, that we experience, is made out of many little parts together, and then the fact that the mandala is created, is used for meditation, and then is destroyed, is dissolved, transformed, is also a way to remember ourselves. One, to not be attached to what we do, and two, that everything is constantly in a process of transformation. And then this particularly, for me, as is a symbol for this bridge, where this tradition is coming from the east to the west, and I would like bit by bit more and more people to be able to learn, and also because there is the part of sacred art, where the important is not what is being done, but the process that happens inside of each one while that is being done. And so now we do this part of the dissolution.
Alessia, prendete 2 tavolini e mettetelo qui davanti, per favore. 2 tavolini di quelli lì. Eccoli lì. E portiamo il mandala qua in mezzo. Perché oggi nel calendario...
Today in the lunar calendar, in the Tibetan calendar, in order to do this ceremony, there are some very specific days, and today is one of those days, so that is why eventually we do it today.
No? Vuoi mettere 3? Metti 3, lo stesso. Ok. Quindi facciamo questo, è una cosa abbastanza veloce.
It's a quite quick thing, but I also wanted...
Diamo qualche minuto così tutti possano vedere un attimino.
We'll leave a few minutes so that everyone can see it. And I'm very proud of the guys that did the work. And who did this was mostly, there is Simone, and Guillermo, Alessia. And they mostly made it. And then there was also the help from other people.
Ok. Come dicevamo prima,
as we were saying earlier, the important thing is not really what we do, but how that experience transforms us, how that interaction, in other words, who was I at the beginning and who am I at the end? This is the most important thing. Often it's not so important whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, whether it's nice or bad, but how that experience has transformed us. And so if I go through an experience that eventually helps me to develop more patience, more awareness, more love, wow, how beautiful. If, on the other hand, I have an experience and then I'm left with more anxiety, with more jealousy and so on, then it didn't go so well. And so this is an approach in general to be kept in mind, because it's not only about specific moments, it's about our inner process in general in our life. I don't know, it always comes to my mind these days, comes to my mind often the summer camp, also because we just did it, ended the day before starting Dharma in Nature. And one of the most beautiful things that I have also heard from some parents, that they came to me thanking me and saying, I saw my son, my daughter transformed. Then if you ask them, what have you done during this week? Then actually no one can really explain so much what has been done. Like many things, but they were happy and something had changed inside of them. And for me, this is one of the most beautiful things. When we can have some experiences, because the experience by itself of what has been done or not, how, it's not important, but we can perceive that something has transformed inside of us in a positive way, of course. And this connects also to the part of the text of today that I'm also happy to conclude with this passage, that it's the 8th encounter that says,
Sangsing tamche pangche shi pakpe norgi gyembarcha. Abbandona tutti
forsake material possessions and adorn yourself with the riches of the Aryas. The Aryas in Tibetan is called Pakpa, which means superior, means that is beyond. This is a Sanskrit term that means superior beings, that even has been used also in the Western world in wrong contexts to talk about the Aryan race in the sense of a superior race. But the Sanskrit term, the original Sanskrit term, doesn't have anything to do with a concept of a race. The term Arya means those that managed to overcome their suffering, to eliminate their ignorance, to developing a superior level of wisdom and love, and so that they are not anymore in the cycle of suffering of samsara. And because of this, they are superior in the sense they don't live anymore guided, driven by their own selfishness, ignorance, fear, and in this sense they are superior beings. But it's not that they are superior beings because they were born Aryas. Yes, after they reached, yes, they are born Aryas, but it's something that anyone can reach. And so when it says abandon all forsake material possessions, and also here the translation material possessions is to be reviewed a bit, and adorn yourself with the riches of the Aryas. So adorn yourself with the riches of the superior beings that managed to get out of the cycle of suffering of samsara. What are the material possessions? In Tibetan is samsin here, and refers to the things that we believe that we can possess, but that actually we cannot really possess. Because I can say I possess this cup, this is my cup. Actually I bought it and I really like it. I really like this cup, this is my cup. But if I had to be really precise, it's not really my cup, but it's the cup that I use. Because if it was actually mine, then no one could take it away from me.
Ok. Invece,
But actually,
le cose materiali,
material things, for as much as we try to protect them, to hold them, then sooner or later we have to part from them, don't we? If not for any other causes, but from death itself. So it's not like I can say, my cup, and then I die and I bring with me my cup. And so material things have this characteristic that for as much as I can say my house, my car, my this, my that, for as much as I can call it mine, actually, these are all things that I cannot really possess because they can easily not be mine anymore. Things that we can really possess are those things that no one can take away from us. Patience, gratitude, love, stability, positive karmic force generated through positive actions. What is inside of us, we can eliminate it, but no one else can take it away from us. And so, mundane possessions, material possessions, refers to all the things that we think that we possess, that we own, but actually, sooner or later, they will not be with us anymore. And here we have fame also, recognition of the image, power, the body, material things, social positions. These are all things in which we put a lot of energy, starting from a principle that we have seen the first day, these days together. We started from the first verse that says, put aside all doubt, and we talked about reviewing our direction, and with that also there was the fact of having to choose with clarity what is the direction that I want to follow. Is it that of wanting to create a perfect world around me, or of wanting to live in an harmonic way in the world where I live? And to change, is it to change the way I interact with the world, or to change the world? And we have seen that often we project our happiness and consequently suffering on three things: having what we want, avoiding what we don't like, and holding what we like. These are the three things on which we project. As a result of this illusion that we have, where we believe that we will be happy, we will be fine, when we will be able to have what we want and to avoid what we don't want and to hold what we like, which is an illusion. We have seen it again and again, analyzed it in many ways, but to believe into this illusion brings as a consequence the fact of trying to create a world around us that is perfect and idealized, and this has to do also with the people, the place in which we live, the situations that we live, social position, many things in which we project our happiness, even if they cannot actually sustain it. But we believe that those are the things that make us happy. So we put a lot of energy on that. And to abandon, to forsake material positions doesn't mean to take the things that you have and to just give them around to everyone. That's not what it refers to. It doesn't mean to just give away everything that you have and to live a life with a vow of poverty. That is not what it refers to. What it means to forsake material possessions, from my point of view, is mostly the fact of reviewing where I project my happiness. And to understand the material things exist as a mean in this moment I have this body. As long as I have a body, then I need to eat, I need to sleep, I need to be able to go from one place to the other, I need to create the conditions. I live in a society where there is an economical part that is important, and so still I need to interact with this society, and these are tools that are there. But they are not my goal. I don't live for that. There is also a part in the Bodhisattva vows that says that when you have abandoned attachment to material things, for instance, wealth, don't project anymore your happiness on wealth. And here it talks to people that have a basis, a real basis of love and altruism. If he says, if you really want to be beneficial for the others and you don't have any attachment to material things, if you had the possibility of having material wealth, you cannot choose to not have it.
Dai valore alla ricchezza, ma lo devi avere. Perché?
You don't give value to wealth, but you should have it. Why? Because a person that is beneficial for the others is able to do better with material resources or without. With. Is he able to be more beneficial by having a level of recognition in society or with no recognition? With recognition. With power or less power? With power. And so that's why it's said that power, recognition, material wealth need to be abandoned in the sense that one doesn't project happiness on them anymore. But once we are able to abandon this mundane wealth, these so-called material possessions, then at that point, if we have it, then we have to make good use of it. Otherwise, it's fine anyway. But this shows us that the problem is not that money is a bad thing by itself, that power is something mean and bad by itself, and the same with recognition. The problem is not material possessions and so on, but it's our projection of the happiness on something that cannot sustain it. Wealth, power, influence, image, and so on by themselves are neither good nor bad. And of course, we need a lot of inner maturity to be able to have wealth and not to be dragged away by our wealth, to not become slaves of it. We need a lot of inner maturity to have power without having attachment to power, and to use it as a tool, and that's it. We really need a lot of maturity to be able to do these things, but it's important for us to remember that it's not that money is a bad thing. What happens is that if I live for the money, then my life revolves around that. And if we look also at the world in which we are, I don't want to say that money is a problem, a bad thing, and so on, but I'm convinced that the majority of the problems that we have in our society are due also to the fact that everything is justified in spite of the profit. So one thing is that, okay, I live in a material world, there is a material return, and that's fine, it's not a problem by itself. But what is more important, what is more a priority, health or profit? Health of the environment or profit? Without getting long on this point, it comes to my mind Bhutan, that at a certain point went to the Global Bank and he told them, we don't give you our GDP, gross domestic product, if not also with the internal happiness. And they have a beautiful program where the part of the gross domestic product is one of the many other factors that are taken into consideration to check the well-being of the country. So inside of this, there is the environment, there is the culture, there is the mood of people, there is equality, there are so many other factors that they saw that they are important for the well-being, for happiness, for people to be well, where the economical part is one of those. And so we can't judge and have as a point of reference the development, the economical development, as a main point for seeing whether a site is doing good or bad. And in this, Bhutan was able to put it into practice in a way that is very structured, also was accepted by the global bank and became a point of reference for many countries for this process, how to measure inner happiness, gross inner happiness, domestic happiness. And according to me, it's a very great thing what they did, like this small country in the middle of the Himalayas that was able to give a lesson to everyone. But if we look at our personal lives, we can also do the same thing. And to have as a point of reference whether things are going good or bad. And the economical part is one part. That is a part that refers to a tool, not to an end. And in the middle of this, there is social position, recognition, power, and so forth. And these are things that, yes, they are fine, but they count little. For example, these days we talked about the aspect of health a bit, and one of the things that is often said is that one of the most important things for us is to be healthy, because to have a lot of money and to then be sick. Some people say that that money helps to get healed. Yes, maybe you can go in a particular clinic to here and there, but eventually you need health. And so, for this is one of the fundamental points. Like, to have a body health, we have seen that should be able to do 4 things well. Eating, so to have appetite, sorry for the term, but pooping, but it's a fact. Then sleeping, and then acting, having energy in the doing. An healthy body has appetite, has a good digestion, has sleep, is able to sleep well in the right moment, and wakes up with energy, and has energy during the day. 4 simple things. And sometimes it could happen that because of money we ruin one of these 3, these 4, and then we get into a strange dynamic. That is that I work more to pay the car, and then I use the car to go to work. Very often we live into this dynamic where we need to earn more to spend more, when actually our needs would be much simpler. And so to ask ourselves the question, what are the material possessions that are really important for me? The possessions, not material in general, but so health is important. Sleeping well is one of these. Yesterday there was Minu. Wasn't present, but I listened to the conference. She talked very clearly about the aspect of the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems, the part of the stress, and how important it's for us to be able in our daily life to have a lifestyle that allows us to maintain calmness, that allows us to have a state of health. That's fundamental. Only just if we think like quickly, without getting into too many details, about one of the crises that we are living in our society that exists, that there is actually, by all means, an epidemic of cancer. I don't know, is there anyone that doesn't know anyone else or himself that has never had a cancer? No one. And if we said, how many people do we know that have or have had a cancer? More than 5 or less than 5? More than 10? Likely. There are some studies that I remember once, I don't know if it was Rogiero or Elcana, that also these days gave some presentations and showed that more than the 50% of the population of Netherlands sooner or later in life has a tumor, has a cancer. In Italy we don't get to 50, but almost. So is it an epidemic or not? Yes. What are the causes of cancers? And here often we think that the cause, we talk about the genetic part, the fear of the genetic part. If I remember numbers correctly from the studies that were shown to me, around 67% of the causes of cancers, 67, so a lot, are about the lifestyle. That is, choices that depend on ourselves. And so, during my life,
è importante per noi dare valore alla
it's
salute.
important for me to give value to health, and so to have a lifestyle that is healthy. Yesterday I heard Minu saying that one of the most powerful tools to decrease cortisol is breath.
Esiste anche un luogo in
There is also a place where
viene visto certi studi che
in some studies is seen that part of the causes of cancers is a result of a state of chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the result of a high level of cortisol that is also chronic, which in turn is the result of chronic stress. So there are many sicknesses that are generated during time, according to me, that are the result of the chronic stress with which we live. And so, yes, I need to earn, but I also need to sleep well. I need to have an inner physical state that is balanced. And for this, for example, I take half an hour in the morning to just breathe. Ah, no, but me, I cannot do it because I have to go work early in the morning. Okay, I understand. Then, but do you go to work in a pyjama? Because if you don't have time, then you do as I did when I was a kid, that I didn't want to wake up too early when I had to go to school, and I was already going to sleep with the clothes of the day after and the shoes also, wearing also the shoes, so that I could go out of the bed when my dad was knocking at the door to take me, and then I was getting up from the bed and taking my bag with my shoes on, and so I got to school that not even half an hour at best since when I woke up. This is not an example to be followed. Do we do like this when we go to work? No, usually we get up, we wash ourselves a little bit, we get dressed, we drink a coffee or something, looks at the phone, isn't it? And so, to breathe with calmness in the morning, to take a moment of meditation, it's not a matter of having or not having time, but a matter of giving more or less priority. I wake up 15 minutes earlier. That increases a lot the quality of life. There are some things that we can do, but we need to be able to get out of our automatisms, to review our lifestyle and what our priorities are. So when Atisha says abandon material possessions, it means that, okay, let's revisit our priorities. Because it also says, and adorn yourself with the riches of the Aryas. The riches of the Aryas, further on in the text, there are 7 of these are quoted until around the end of the text, when it says, the jewel of faith, the jewel of discipline, the jewel of giving, the jewel of learning, the jewel of dignity, the jewel of self-control, and the jewel of wisdom. And so, we talk about our inner qualities. I should adorn myself with gratitude, patience, love, awareness, generosity. I should adorn myself with my inner qualities, with health, mental health, physical health. I can adorn my life with that. All of this is part still. It's a bit in the middle between mundane possessions and not. Mental health definitely not, but physical health partly yes, but it's something that's extremely important. And so for this I really invite each one of us to reflect a little bit on our priorities. Because we are born into a social context, and in this life, since when we were little, stories have been told to us. And these stories that were told to us become a mean through which we relate to ourselves and to the world. Money is a story. We have many important influences in our vision of world, among which there is capitalism, and this is not a criticism, it's a fact, with its pros and cons. We have a mechanicistic view, even if we see that science has evolved into what would be the part of quantum physics and so on. The view of world that we have is based on quantum physics or the physics of Newton. And we have a mechanist view of world, of materialistic view of world. This is part of the view of the world that we have. And instead of this, as we grew up, we also inherited a view of world, also about what it means to have success in life, isn't it? Since when we were little, a direction has been given to us. What is that direction? That we should study in order to work, to earn. And in the meanwhile, we should get married, have a family. And if we manage to have a family, that then the family goes well, if we have a good career, earn a lot of money, then we have had success, isn't it? And the question that I ask myself, what about when we start a family and we start a career, we have a career and earn a lot of money, and then it's sad, and then we are sad, anxious, full of rancor, angry, with an inner feeling. Is it a successful life or not? According to me, no, it isn't. And with this, I'm not against neither family nor career. I'm not saying that these are wrong things. I'm just saying that these are part of life as tools. I don't believe that, for example, the couple relationship is neither the cause of happiness and also neither the cause of suffering. When one is well with himself, then is also well able to do well with the other. And then when one is not doing well with himself, he can also marry a Buddha, but Buddha is not neither male or female. Buddha is an inner aspect that transcends male or female. So you can get married with a perfectly enlightened being, but eventually you project your own things on the other. But if you are well with yourself, then you're also well with the other. And I believe that our relationship with another person can bring so many beautiful things. Just like it can be a very big challenge with many difficult things. Depends on how it's lived, just like the other things in life. And so the point here is that we inherit a story, where in life, in order for things to be well, we need to earn more, we need to have success from the point of view of relationships and so on.
Non so, a me mi viene
I don't know, comes to my mind a scene from a movie
dove
where
il padre dice al
the
figlio, no,
father
guarda,
tells
vieni a casa da me per
to his
una
son,
cena dove
come to me for a dinner where I also invite other important people,
mi raccomando,
and please
porta la tua bella fidanzata.
bring your
Noi ci
also
siamo lasciati.
beautiful girlfriend. But we left each other, it doesn't matter.
Ossia, è un esempio di
So this is an example of success.
che all'interno della relazione
And then whether inside of the relationship one is doing well or bad, it doesn't matter.
passato la
You
bella immagine,
passed,
quello è un segno di successo.
you gave a good image, so that is a sign of success.
Basta vedere molto spesso
And
nella nostra
very
società
often we can just
sono
see in our society
riferimenti di
who
grande successo.
are the points of reference as success, as people.
Che hanno fama,
People that have fame,
potere,
power,
ricchezza,
wealth,
bellezza,
beauty,
o no?
isn't it?
Poi quando andiamo
And then
all'interno a
when we
vedere la
go
loro vita,
into that and we check our lives, whether they are depressed or
tutto il resto,
sick and everything, then yeah, that's just a detail.
però io mi chiedo,
But I
io
ask
voglio
myself,
quella vita?
do I want that life?
Assolutamente.
Absolutely not.
Quindi
And so
cerchiamo un attimino
let's
di
try
vedere qual è la nostra storia.
a little bit
che noi crediamo.
to
E qua c'è un
see what is the story in which we believe.
comprendere che noi
And here there is an
viviamo
important
all'interno di
point,
narrative.
that is
Noi
to
viviamo
understand the
all'interno di
fact that we
storie
live
che ci sono state
inside of
raccontate,
narratives, stories that
che
were
noi
told to
continuiamo a
us
seguire.
and that we keep on following.
Non so, qualcuno
I don't
da
know.
bambino,
As
credo che tutti, no,
I
abbiamo
believe
sentito
that
le
everyone,
favole e vissero felici
as
per sempre.
children,
O no?
have heard like stories,
Dov'è che
like,
cominciava
and they
la
lived
vera felicità?
always happily
Un
thereafter.
bacio.
And the happiness started with a kiss,
Poi va tutto
and then
bene.
everything goes smoothly.
Io ho sempre pensato è che manca il prossimo capitolo.
And I always thought that the following chapter is
Quello che
missing.
viene dopo.
That is what comes after that.
Nulla contro
Nothing against
l'amore inteso come l'amore romantico.
love as meant like a romantic love. Nothing against that.
Però non è la
But
soluzione.
it's not the solution.
Però noi siamo cresciuti
But we grew up
con questa
with
storia.
this story.
Noi siamo cresciuti
We
con la
grew
storia
up
della
with the
ricchezza.
story of wealth, of power, and so forth.
Quindi c'è un luogo importante
So there is
per
an
noi che è
important
quello
place
di
for us,
cercare
that is
di,
that of
prima di
trying,
tutto,
first of all,
comprendere
to
che noi viviamo
understand
tramite
that we
delle
live
narrazioni,
through
viviamo
narratives.
tramite delle
We
storie.
live
Le
through
nostre
stories.
storie sono
And
storie,
our stories are just stories.
non sono
They are
la
not
realtà.
the reality.
Perciò, quale storia voglio
And so,
raccontare?
what story
voglio
do I want to tell myself? What story do I want to follow?
Per esempio,
For instance,
credo
I
che
believe that
oltre che la storia del
other than
avere ricchezza,
the story of having wealth,
bellezza,
beauty,
c'è un'altra storia, per
there is
esempio,
another story, for example,
fregatura enorme,
that is an enormous
che uno per
scam,
essere felice deve
that
essere
one,
giovane.
in order to be happy, needs to be young.
E quindi, man mano che
And
passano
so,
gli anni,
as years pass,
comincia
and
un po', no? Io, nel mio caso, i
in
capelli
my case,
cominciano
okay,
a
for example,
cadere,
my hair is starting to
i
fall,
capelli
then you
bianchi,
get
la pelle non è la stessa,
gray
vengono fuori le rughe,
hair, the
piuttosto
skin is not the
che-
same, you get wrinkles and so
Come
on.
visto questo?
How
Bene
is
o male?
this perceived? Goodly
Perché?
or bad? Why?
Che c'è di male?
What bad is there in that, in getting old?
Ma noi abbiamo
But
questa
we
storia
have this story
che noi seguiamo che
that we follow,
deve rimanere, no, forever young.
that we need to
Per
remain
sempre.
forever young.
E poi facciamo queste cose che
And
io non
then,
voglio entrare, non voglio puntare
now I
nel
don't
rosso,
want to point the
nessuno,
finger against anyone,
ma But
the fact of wanting to use external means to try to maintain our looks against the natural process of our body, for me, the various plastic surgeries or the other techniques that are there to eliminate wrinkles or this and that, the real problem here is not the thing by itself, but it's the fact of not being at peace with the natural process of our body. Because okay, I inject myself this and that, but then after a while, what happens? I go and have vacation somewhere, then I have some hair transplant. But my aging process continues. And I repeat, I really don't want to offend anyone, I don't want to point the finger at anyone, but what I'm saying is that we give the importance that we give to impermanence, but to being at peace with our impermanence. There used to be this story that actually in older times, in more ancient times, that the older you are, the more you have importance, the more value is attributed to you. Today, in our society, it seems quite the opposite, isn't it? And this is nothing else but a story that we tell ourselves. And so, to allow ourselves a little bit, what is the story that we want to follow? I want to follow a story where the important things for me are the inner qualities that I develop. It's the way that I interact with others, and whether I'm able to be part more of the solution or more of the problem, where material things are there, yes, but they're nothing else but a tool. And so, where naturally the body is always transforming, and an important thing is not how the body appears, but more than that, whether I am healthy or not. Also, that is more important. Appearance is an enormous scam, and here there is nothing wrong in taking care of our appearance. There is also a path, a practice, where one takes care of the appearance as an act of offering to the others, not as a way to try to obtain something from the others, as a recognition and so on, but as an act of offering.
Perciò, quando Atisha ci dice qui,
and so when Atisha here says to adorn ourselves with the riches of the Aryas, that's also about developing our own self-esteem and on the basis of the inner qualities and not on the basis of the outer aspects mostly, and to give ourselves the right direction. And so, in a few words, I invite everyone to revisit a little bit the lifestyle that we have. That also means to review our priorities. So to try to do what is possible to live a present that is coherent with the future that we want to live. To try to live our individual lives in the most coherent way with the world in which we will want to live. And with this we are already doing a lot. Then if one believes to be a Buddhist or not, sometimes someone comes to me, Lama, I am not a Buddhist, as if like apologizing, but that's completely fine. We don't need more people in the world that call themselves Buddhists. We need more people in the world that practice what Buddha taught. That means that they develop more love, more patience, more stability, more gratitude, more wisdom, and so on. This, yes, is extremely important. And so, therefore, we identify ourselves with the teachings of Buddha to be a Buddhist actually doesn't mean to put a label on oneself, but to give priority to the path that Buddha taught us. That is a path at the basis of the about the development of love and wisdom. A few words is that. And so I thank you a lot for these days together. And it's not just this week, but in general, this path that we share together. Because also when a story is shared by many people, is told by many people, that story becomes more powerful. When we create a story, let's give an example. I create a story that person is mean. I created a story, it's a narrative, that person is mean. In order to give strength to that story, then I tell it. I go to another person and I say, have you seen that people, how mean is she? And when that person says, yes, it's true, it means that my story is more true. And when 4 people have said that, yes, it's true, that person is mean, so it means that everyone says that person is mean. And so I don't leave it anymore as a story, as I leave it as a reality. When, on the other hand, more people tell a healthy story, that story becomes stronger. And so the changes that each one of us does in the way of seeing and relating to the world, one influences the other. And so this is the real power of change that we have. And so I believe that one of the most revolutionary acts that we can do is to change our narratives, is to challenge the narratives that we have, to allow ourselves to live in a different way, in the sense of challenging the narrative that we inherited, that is about the part of extreme materialism, to challenge the narrative of violence, and so forth, to challenge the narrative that is that where there are inferior and superior people, about the way, the place they come from, their social status, and so on. And sometimes we also follow the stories also without words. We don't even realize, but we follow a certain vision. And so we somehow need to review this in order to be really able to be part of the solution somehow. But, as we said during these days, our actions are very powerful. Our words are extremely powerful. But the only thing that is more powerful than words are the thoughts. And so let's try to direct our thoughts, and in order to do that, we need to take the reins of our mind in our hands. And one of the tools to do this is through our breath, to then get to meditation. These days I wanted to repeat the same exercise more times. There are many other beautiful exercises, beautiful techniques of meditation, but I wanted to maintain the same thing more or less every day, more times, so that we can create more familiarity, because during the week, great, but then I hope that everyone at home brings something with himself or herself, that we can give continuity to this, because our path shouldn't be done in the temple, should be done also in the temple. The real path is done at work, in the family, when we are in the traffic jam, driving, when we are at the supermarket and we have to buy, and we make a choice about what to buy or not, when we are choosing what to eat, or any other daily action that we do. That's where we build our state of well-being or suffering, our health or sickness. That's where we build our path, our transformation. And then coming here at the center and of these moments together, it's like a way to learn some things, to regenerate some energies, to remember about something that more or less we forgot, to reconnect and recharge also our batteries, which is also completely fine and is very important to give ourselves a direction. But then there is everyday life. And so I really invite each one of us to review our lifestyle. And if by reviewing our lifestyle we see that everything is great and perfect, then I rejoice. Keep on like that. But actually, if we see, yeah, I'm sleeping in a bad way. Okay, then what can we do in order to sleep well? I take a pill. Yeah, if that worked, then good. I'm not against drugs. I am against
un aiuto materiale di una medicina più.
There are some cases where the material help of a certain drug can help and is beneficial. I'm against an attitude of trying to find a shortcut, a simple solution that then cannot sustain, that doesn't work. So for example, with sleeping, it's extremely important for us for two reasons. There are many, but I mentioned two reasons. When we are awake for too long, then our brain starts to become intoxicated. And it's said that after 18 hours awake, it's the same as being drunk. We lose the clarity of the senses, and chemically, physically, our brain starts to be intoxicated. When we sleep, there is a sort of liquid that goes through our brain and cleanses it. So detoxing the brain, really. And so to sleep, when we don't sleep, we lose the clarity of our senses and so on. And so it's important to sleep. The other aspect is that when I have a deep sleep, not a superficial sleep, but when we are able to have a deep sleep, that deep sleep where we dream and so on, it's that which allows us to reprocess, to digest our emotions. And but when we sleep and don't sleep deeply, accumulating this over time, then we're not able to process and digest our emotions. The majority of the drugs to sleep don't allow a deep sleep. So what happens is that one sleeps, but when we wake up, then we are not really rested. And from the emotional point of view, mental point of view, what happens is that it sums up and from one day to the other it gets more and more. And so if I'm not sleeping well, that's a symptom. It means that I should change something. Have fewer stimuli at the evening, change my way of eating, breathe more, with more awareness. I do something to be able to sleep well. And the good news is that it's possible for everyone. But it requires an healthy lifestyle, because something that absolutely doesn't work is to want a different result by keep doing the same things. That doesn't work. And so let's try bit by bit to see what our lifestyle is, what are the things that are good for us, those that are not so good for us, and to try to take small steps. Absolutely don't put in your agenda to change everything from one day to the other. Small steps, try to start from one small thing to the other, and doing one small thing after the other, then they sum up and we can do a lot. The only reason for me, for which we are here today, for which I want to create this moment together, all these days, that is the same reason for which this center exists, for which I tried to share everything that I shared up to today, and that is the same reason also for which my masters did it, is because I really believe that each one of us is able to do it. Is able to love oneself more, is able to love the others more, to have more stability, to have a more healthy lifestyle. And bit by bit, like using more technical term, I trust that all of us, if we follow the right way, we can reach enlightenment. In other words, if we live a life that is coherent, healthy, then we are able by all means to reach a state of balance, a state of well-being, of peace and joy, both for ourselves and in the collectiveness. And I really believe that this is possible. And so it's up to each one of us to do our part. For me, one of the strongest things was to see the trust that my masters put on me, and this naturally brings me to say, okay, if you trust me, then I'll try to trust myself. It's possible that we can do it. All of us can do it. And so, for this, I really invite everyone to reflect deeply, to also nourish our self-esteem by saying, okay, wow, I have in my hands some really wonderful tools and I can do a lot. And so let's do it with a lot of joy. Our path of life, spiritual path, the path of Dharma, is a path that is challenging because we need to walk against the current, against the habits, but it's a joyful path. So I wanted to leave you with this request of reviewing your lifestyle, reviewing what are the aspects that we want to cultivate more and those that bit by bit we want to abandon, and we choose one or maximum two at a time and we start with that, giving ourselves some commitments with a determined time. And I invite you also to go on with the reading of this text, the Jewel Garland of the Bodhisattva, and to take some sentences that are there to support us in the moments of need. The text by itself actually is quite simple to understand. There are few things that demand more explanations, but there is one line in particular that I've also seen important masters interpreting in a way that, according to me, is not correct. To say that it's not easy. And when my master explained, gave me the transmission of the text and got to hear, he said, I don't know what it means. And he was sincere. And then when I read the texts that are the original conversations from which this text comes from, then I understood the meaning. And it's the verse that talks about the wealth, the riches of the Aryas around the end, and says, says 27. These 7 riches cannot be exhausted. Do not speak of this to non-human beings. Do not speak of this to non-human beings. Actually, in Tibetan is translated literally as don't talk about this to people that are not. Me, people, man, human being, main, which is not, je, to speak, micha, don't do it. So don't speak about this to people that are not. But the term mi, main, the person is not, also means spirit, but not in this context. In this context, the text is talking about originally where Atisha says to Drom Tompa, this advice that I gave you here, don't give them to those that are not ready to put them in practice. Because these are extremely powerful things, but if someone is not ready to put them into practice, the greatest danger, Atisha says, that spiritual tradition degenerates and destroys itself, is that the practitioners, that is, those that represent that spiritual tradition, don't really practice. And so, when these teachings become a tool for power and not anymore a tool for practice. And so, to not Teach them to those that are not ready to practice them. Don't teach them to those that are not ready to put themselves, to challenge themselves and to look at themselves in their eyes and to really develop love and compassion and to face the shadows. Otherwise, there is the danger that someone can use it as a tool for power. Ah, look that I know these things, and to use the knowledge of the Dharma as a mean for manipulation and a mean of mundane power. And Atisha says, this is the main cause of the degeneration of Dharma and of spiritual tradition. So don't talk about this to people that are not. So actually it's not non-human beings, but those that are not. People that are not, it would be more correct. I'm convinced that here there are no problems of talking about these jewels, because I believe that no one of us is here, or so I believe, for mundane reasons. No one came here for a matter of power, of wealth. I want to do the course to make others understand I am better than the other, or to be able to have a religious career. No, I don't think so. We are here to look at ourselves and to be at service of the others. And so I deeply thank you for your presence, of your open heart and attentive mind. And Lama Ganchen sometimes said, see you sometimes, see you every moment. One, because eventually we always see each other, but two, also because when we are walking in the same direction, then we're close. What makes it so that two people are close is that their hearts, their minds go in the same direction. Otherwise, we can sleep in the same bed, work next to each other at the same desk, to see each other many hours a day, to be very close physically, and maybe being very, very far one from the other. So in the same way, we can also be very close to each other, even thousands of miles away from each other. And what determines this is when mind and heart go in the same direction. And what I've done during these days is to try to share with you what is the direction that I believe and that I follow. And so who feels like walking together, then let's go. So thank you everyone. Now we make a final dedication. Before the dedication, just some quick information. Who wants today, at 5:30, I will be in Omegna for a conference, where actually I don't remember now. I said yes, but then it is about a subject that we touched today, that is the importance of how being able to age well, the importance of seeing the aging process as something of healthy and positive and not with a negative eye. So if someone wants to come, you can just search Omegna, Lama Michel, and then you find it right away. I did that this morning because I didn't remember the time that I had to be there. Yes, it's also on our website. This is just some information. And then another practical thing that I also wanted to share with you, and that this year, the last year, there was this opportunity of writing a book that was open to everyone, and so I really tried to put my heart, my best in it. So when we did the Vai Così di Fretta book, where there is really a lot in it, and it went quite well, but there were some important points that were left out. And then I anyway found myself in a moment, mine and also of society, where I see that there is a sense of being lost very often, a sense of what is the direction that we should take with from looking at war or the very problems that are there. So I wanted to take advantage of this tool that I saw that it works, and I wrote another book. This book is called You Need Courage. We need courage to love ourselves, the others, and the world, which eventually is a simplified version of the three aspects of the path of Lama Tsongkhapa. Anyway, this is also just to remember that during the month of September, then I will not be here very much. There will be a few activities here because I will travel around the various cities to be able to bring this message, to try to share this. And I also invite each one of you to help with this process. And particularly I wanted to thank, before the dedications, the center, thank all the people that make it so that this place is possible for all of us. Because the truth is that if we are here, that's because there are those that cook, that clean, there are those that organize, there are those that are the reception, all the other things, the manutention, streaming. It's complex. Center is complex. I know it. And so really a deep thank to each one that is doing these things, and also a request for everyone, that is that of, if we see that the center is something that is beneficial for us, let's try to support it. Each one at his own, with his own possibilities, because the center belongs to everyone, but we should be careful to not get into that dynamic that since it belongs to everyone, then it belongs to no one. Actually, every one of us should take care of it at the best of his own capacities. There was something that I also wanted to do before concluding. There is a great friend, Savadamdin Rinpoche, that is a Lama that lives in Mongolia. He was here the last winter, and we went to visit him in Mongolia. He's a great friend, a wonderful person. And in a few days there is his birthday, 50 years old. So I wanted to make a message for him, and then we wish him, make the wishes together.
Sawatamri Rinpoche, we are all here together, wishing for your long life. We rejoice deeply of your friendship, of your love. Please always think about us. Please come back soon here. And today, for your 50 years birthday, we wish you good health, long life, and may each and every of your virtuous wishes be fulfilled without obstructions. Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkar chinle chokchur gepadang losan tempe drume sasum ki munsela tatu ne gyur chi. Sawatamri Rinpoche, happy birthday!
It's beautiful to see when there is someone with which we have a friendship, a connection that you also cannot really explain how and why. We met Savadamni Rinpoche, who was guest in his house in Mongolia with us, knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, I really thank everyone, and so let's continue together and let's make the final dedications.
Sashi peki chushi meto chan rirab lingshe nide gemba de sangye shindu mikte ulwargi drogu namda shingla che parasho jetsun lame kutse raptenchi nam kartin le chochurge pada lo san tempe dreme sasumgi drove munsela tato ne gyurci nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshi ninsen takto delekpe kuncho sumke chingelo kuncho sumke ngodrubutsol kuncho sumke trashisho yidam guru ratna mendrala kam niryatayami. All'alba o al
At
tramonto,
dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and to sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Repeat after me.
Sem chosudro, cholam tudro, lam la parce, mionarshon. Possa la mente,
May the mind become the Dharma.
possa il Dharma,
May the Dharma become the path.
possa il
May the path be free from interferences.
May the mind become the Dharma. May the Dharma become the path. May the path be free from interferences. Mi me tserwe ter chen chen re si dri me kempe wampo jampe liang do pong ma lu jom tse sang we da kan chen kepe zogen en song kapa lo san trakpe abla solvade. Grazie a tutti.
Thank you, everyone. Now, who wants to come to say hi quickly is welcome.
Michela, ci sei? La Michela sarà con la sabbia del mandala per chi vuole un pochettino di ogni